And that is one huge way that I incorporate WearBands is whenever I look at a venue where there's going to be a lot of felt running, let's say like West Virginia, where you're in the woods, you're going to have to do a lot of high stepping. You're going to have to, be able to manipulate your feet very fast to go through some of that terrain if you want to like be competitive and win the race. Like that's where I get a huge advantage in the woods. I can run away from almost everybody who can beat me, on the roads or in a flat or other types of terrain. But I do that training to work those specific muscles that allow me to move my legs like up and down like super fast. And I haven't found another system other than WearBands that helps me with that. So that's kind of like my OCR secret weapon. Yeah, when you're in a type of terrain that you can't, fully stride, or you can't, get into your normal gait, your running gait, and you just have to kind of adapt, and you're going to get a little bit more tired because you're not able to get into that rhythm. So a lot of people will panic, or they'll freak out, or they'll start to shorten their stride, or they'll start to, just slow down their pace. So you're kind of like fell running. You're kind of like, you just can't really get into, your normal running pace. And yeah, this happens a lot in the woods, running in sand a little bit. And it really opens the door up for anyone, especially people who have more grit or kind of like a higher cardio base, because typically it wears you out a lot more than, running on flat or running on a normal, a normal terrain. So yeah, I've been really good at that, especially training at elevation in the past, where I don't get as elevated as a heart rate, so it doesn't fatigue me as much. And I tend to I have an orienteering background in the military, so we do a lot of orienteering competitions. I've been over to Austria to compete internationally, where you're literally just running through the woods with a compass. There aren't any trails, there aren't any like markers or nothing. You just gotta you have a map and a compass, and you have to navigate the fastest way that you feel possible to get to that, that control point before anyone else. And I think that helped me a lot with all running and kind of understanding how to run through the woods. Because when I first started, I was like, just running, and I'm worried about what I'm stepping on. I'm not looking where I'm going. And then all of a sudden I see these guys, run by at like 4-minute pace per mile. And I'm like, dude, how do they do that? They're just like, they just send it, dude. They don't even care. So again, you build your ankle strength by the use of things like WearBands, by doing specific training strength wise in the gym, so that you don't roll your ankle, or you don't, have a potential injury, because your stabilizers are so strong. Kind of my mindset when I go to the gym. I usually go 2 to 3 days a week. I like to go and really focus on full body. So a lot of days, people go, okay, today I'm gonna work on my back. Tomorrow I'm gonna work on my chest. Tomorrow I'm gonna, work on leg day. So I like to just go and do a full body, because that's how obstacle course racing is. Your body, and I do supersets and I do circuits. So I don't necessarily go, okay, I'm gonna sit down and do 3 sets of bench, and then I'm gonna go over here and do 3 sets of lat pulls or something. I go, I go to the bench, and then I'll go do squats, and then I'll go to the air bike, and then I'll go do farmer carries, and then I'll do abs, and then I'll go over to the concept rower. So that's typically what I'll do. I'll hit like a leg, an arm, and then just a quick burst of cardio, like a high intensity, like 2 minutes. I'll just go 1,000 meters on the ski erg, or 1,000 meters on the rower, or 50 cals on the watt bike, or the air bike, and I'll do that, for 45 minutes or an hour or more at a time, and to see how many circuits I can go through with whatever I've established that I want to do that day. I would say more explosive, and then short endurance, maybe, for a mile or so. You can start to build up to where you can go 2 to 3 miles. But again, the first time you use it, even for half a mile, if you've never used it before, your muscles are going to be sore. I would definitely recommend like the green bands, or, one of the lighter resistances, so that you can ease into some of the heavier stuff that you would increase the resistance and do some more explosive type power. But really, the sky's the limit. That's what's so kind of unique and cool about them, is you can really just do it, do whatever you're doing, and add WearBands and see how it, kind of helps because you can pretty much do any movement. Like I'm not going to go run around with the barbell, or I'm not going to try to do box jumps with a barbell, or like other exercises, but you can do that with wear bands. You can just do every normal function that you can walk around and do stuff on. You can put on wear bands and kind of level up your deadlifts, or your squats, um, your running. And I use it more again for running in the woods and fell running. Like that's where I've seen the biggest gains for me personally, is when I do just a mile or two in them, and I feel those stabilizer muscles that don't get fatigued, because you don't always use them for the entirety of the race. But yeah, and then I haven't done a lot of incorporation with the arms. That's kind of a newer aspect of wear bands, but I think that's just as big of a capability. Is you can really work on some of the muscles that you don't necessarily get to work in other aspects, just because of how the resistance is coming from a central point versus all the other exercises that you see in a gym. You're having to pull or contract. You're not coming from inside out. You're always coming from outside in. So in that aspect, it works. The resistance works in a different way, and especially for running, I mean, it lowers the impact that your foot has on the ground, because when you're pushing down, the band is pulling up as you're kind of forcing that resistance down. So yes, you're having to work harder to push your foot, but it's also you're not hitting as hard because you have that resistance. So it kind of helps with like knee pain and stuff like that. And you do have some transition time though to get your shoes a little bit acclimated. So a lot of people will have pain around their foot just in the first couple of times using it. So you absolutely cannot tighten your shoes too tight, because you will feel that neoprene sock kind of adding to a little bit extra pressure. And of course, it all depends on what kind of feet you have. I have super flat feet, so it doesn't really feel so
Flat feet are the biggest issues when we hear that, because it puts some extra pressure on your arch. And people that have flat feet, that's kind of a weak point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and people who
usually.
don't would be
Mhm.
like, I don't have any problems, So it just all depends on the person. You got to look at your equipment and make sure you have that good shoelace or that good shoe, or the right material to allow you to not overheat or get cold, because nutrition and weather, no matter how hard you train, if your nutrition's not on and you're dehydrated or you don't have enough calories, it doesn't matter how much you trained. So yeah, definitely focus on nutrition, getting electrolytes, getting enough water in your system, eating whole foods, keeping anything in a box less than 10 ingredients is usually my sticking points for that. And obviously try not to eat too many fried or saturated fats. And for training, yeah, focus on endurance, focus on like running, biking, your cardio, and then 100% grip strength. Like if you can only do one strength thing, just work on your grip, because that'll get you through the obstacles that are failed the most. Your twisters, your um, Olympus, your rope climb, your rigs, like all that good stuff. And then, you could practice burpees too. I mean, because I've seen people who don't practice burpees get injured, or really fatigued when they're like, oh, I didn't think I would fail that obstacle. And then, you're gonna end up doing a lot of burpees, and that's gonna fatigue you even more to finish, and kind of discourage you from doing the race. And then lower back. Let's see, that's another good one. Deadlifts, squats too, to get the hamstrings. So those, three workouts, if you can do hamstrings, deadlifts, um, dead hangs, pull-ups, any kind of grip work, farmer carries, and then cardio will get you through most races.